joining us for the National Health Service Corps Students to Service Loan Repayment Program Application Webinar. I'd like to highlight a couple housekeeping items for you in Microsoft Teams. The features available to you can be found at the top of your screen. While the Q&A is currently not enabled, after the presentation today, we will enable the Q&A, so you'll be able to ask questions after the presentation today. I will go over the instructions on how to ask questions. At that time, the chat is also disabled. Thank you again for joining us today. We hope that you find this webinar incredibly helpful. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Brian Rothbard. Brian?
Welcome to the National Health Service Corps Students to Service Loan Repayment Program Application Assistance Webinar. My name is Brian Rothbard, and I'm joined by Victoria Alabi and other NHSC program experts. NHSC staff will be answering your questions at the conclusion of today's presentation. We kindly ask that you hold all questions until the end of the presentation. Over the course of this presentation, we are going to touch on the following topics related to the S2S Loan Repayment Program: program overview, eligibility requirements, financial benefits, application process, postgraduate training options, and the service commitment. So let's begin with the overview of the National Health Service Corps Students to Service Loan Repayment Program, also known as S2S LRP. The National Health Service Corps, also known as the NHSC, builds healthy communities by supporting qualified healthcare providers dedicated to working in areas of the United States with limited access to care. NHSC clinicians improve access to these crucial services by practicing in health professional shortage areas across the country. The NHSC is part of the Bureau of Health Workforce, or BHW. BHW is committed to improving the health of underserved populations by strengthening the health workforce and connecting skilled professionals to communities in need. The NHSC offers up to $120,000 in tax-free loan repayment for 3 years of full-time service or 6 years of half-time service. Awards are paid in 4 equal annual installments beginning in August of your award year. Once your initial service commitment has been completed, program participants can apply for continuation contracts, which may allow you to pay off all of your student loans. The disciplines eligible to participate in the S2S LRP are physicians, dentists, nurse practitioners, certified nurse midwives, and physician assistants. We will discuss eligibility criteria in detail for each of the health professions. To be eligible for the S2S Loan Repayment Program, physician assistants are required to be a U.S. citizen or U.S. national. You must be enrolled full-time in your last year at an accredited school pursuing a degree in medicine and graduate by July 1st, 2026. You must also have unpaid student loans and plan to complete a residency program, which is mandatory for our physicians. To be eligible for the S2S Loan Repayment Program, dental applicants are required to be a U.S. citizen or U.S. national. You must be enrolled full-time in your last year at an accredited school pursuing a degree in dentistry and graduate by July 1st, 2026. You must also have unpaid student loans. Completing a residency program is optional for our dentists. To be eligible for the S2S Loan Repayment Program, nursing applicants are required to be a U.S. citizen or U.S. national. You must be enrolled full-time and in the last year at an accredited school pursuing a degree as a nurse practitioner or pursuing a postgraduate degree or postgraduate certificate that is accredited by the Accreditation Commission for Education and Nursing or the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education. You must be scheduled to graduate before August 31st, 2026 and be certified as a nurse practitioner in adult medicine, family medicine, geriatrics, primary care pediatrics, psychiatric mental health, or women's health and have unpaid student loans. To be eligible for the S2S loan repayment program, midwife applicants are required to be a U.S. citizen or U.S. national. You must be enrolled full-time in your last year at an accredited school in a school or program nurse midwifery education. Pursuing a postgraduate degree or postgraduate certificate accredited by the American College of Nurse Midwives Division of Accreditation. You must also be scheduled to graduate before August 31st, 2026, and you must complete an accredited program leading to national certification by the American Midwifery Certification Board and have unpaid student loans. To be eligible for the S2S loan repayment program, physician assistant applicants are required to be a U.S. citizen or U.S. national. You must be enrolled full-time in your last year at an accredited school in a school or program of physician assistant education accredited by the Accreditation Review Commission on Education for the Physician Assistant and scheduled to graduate before August 31st, 2026. You must also complete an accredited program leading to national certification by the National Commission on Certification of Physician Assistants and have unpaid student loans. Additionally, Section 332K of the Public Health Service Act directs HHS through HRSA to identify maternity care target areas, also referenced as MICTAs, or geographic areas within HPSAs that have a shortage of maternity care health professionals for the purpose of assigning maternity care health professionals to such areas. The NHSC recognizes maternity care health professionals as physicians, allopathic and osteopathic, specializing in obstetrics/gynecology, family medicine physicians who practice obstetrics, and certified nurse midwives. To support this effort, in fiscal year 2026, the NHSC S2S LRP is offering a supplemental award of up to $40,000 in loan repayment funding to maternity care health professional participants who provide healthcare services in MICTAs. To be eligible for this optional supplemental award, you must be awarded to the Student to Service Loan Repayment Program with one of the eligible discipline and specialty combinations. After the S2S Loan Repayment Program contract is countersigned, eligible participants will be offered the optional maternity care target area award supplement addendum. The supplement awards up to an additional $40,000 of eligible loan repayment funds for a maximum award of up to $160,000. Eligible participants who sign the addendum will have a change in their service requirement. Instead of having to fulfill the service obligation in a health professional shortage area with a minimum score of 14, the addendum requires participants to serve in a maternity care target area with a minimum score of 16. These minimum score requirements will be discussed further later in the presentation. Next, we will provide an overview of the online application process. The S2S loan repayment application is now open and will close on Thursday, November 6th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All completed applications must be submitted by the deadline. Please allow plenty of time to complete the application as there are a number of required components. We strongly advise reading the application and program guidance as a first step. Then, gather your required documentation. Once those two steps are complete, you can then visit the MyVHW to start your application. The application is submitted online via the portal. You can see the link to the website here on the slide. Please be aware that it may take some time to gather all the required documents, so you are strongly encouraged to begin the process early. So let us start with step 1 on the next slide. Step 1 begins with the reading of the application and program guidance. This is single-handedly the most valuable thing you can do as an applicant. You'll find a wealth of information about the S2S loan repayment program in the application and program guidance. It covers important topics such as program eligibility, the NHSC contract and service obligation, program benefits and requirements, postgraduate training, finding a practice site, and service requirements. A copy of the application and program guidance is downloadable from the NHSC website. Now let us move on to step 2. Step 2 entails collecting all the required documents electronically so that they can be uploaded to your application. All the documents you see listed here are required for your application. First is your proof of citizenship documentation. As mentioned earlier, to be eligible for the SOS loan repayment program, applicants must be a U.S. citizen or U.S. national. Acceptable documentation includes a U.S. birth certificate or certificate issued by the U.S. Department of State, which verifies your birth abroad, a passport that identifies you as a U.S. citizen, a passport card, or a certificate of naturalization. A driver's license, including Real ID compliant licenses, are not a valid proof of citizenship. Next is the authorization to release information form. Please be sure to download the NHSC authorization to release information form within the application. The document must be signed, dated, and include the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. Next, medical students are required to submit proof of passing step/level 1 of the US MLE/COMLEX. The documentation must be from the National Accreditation Board organization. School letters and any other documentation are not acceptable. Dental students are required to submit proof of passing the Integrated National Board Dental Examination. The documentation must be from the National Accreditation Board organization. School letters and any other documentation are not acceptable. Next is the verification of good standing form. This form is downloaded from the NHSC application as well and should be taken to your educational institution's registrar office. The form must indicate that you are a full-time student enrolled in the same degree program that you indicate in your application for loan repayment. The form must also indicate that you are in good academic standing and must be completed and signed by a school official. Next, you will need 2 separate letters of recommendation. One should be an academic letter of recommendation and the other a non-academic letter of recommendation. A letter from a preceptor that can speak to your academic studies is acceptable. The letters must be submitted by your recommenders. To initiate the letter of recommendation request, you will enter the email address of your recommenders through the online application. This will prompt an email that is sent to your recommender with instructions on how to submit the letter. We encourage you to communicate with your recommenders to ensure that they have uploaded the letters by the application deadline. If your recommender is unable to submit your recommendation by the application deadline, you may change the recommender's email address to prompt the system to initiate a new letter of recommendation request to a different recommender. Applications without 2 letters of recommendation are ineligible for the award. You must also write an important essay consisting of 500 words or fewer. You will want to put thought and care into this essay, so we strongly encourage you to begin the writing process early. We would also like to touch on the school transcript. The NHSC requires that you submit a transcript that includes your name, the name of your school, and GPA or pass/fail grades. It must show all posted grades from your current degree program. Loan information will be covered later in the presentation. In addition to the documents I've just gone over, there are some additional supporting documents you must submit in your application depending on your circumstances, so I'll cover those items next. This slide is important for those of you who have an existing service commitment or if you have a pre-existing service obligation. If you have an existing service obligation, it cannot conflict with the National Health Service Corps obligation, and documentation is required from the other entity you are obligated to, stating the NHSC service obligation will be completed first. The slide highlights that if you qualify as having a disadvantaged background, you will need to upload the NHSC form. The NHSC form is the only form acceptable for the application for the verification of disadvantaged background. For verification of disadvantaged background, this document certifies that the applicant comes from a disadvantaged background and either participated in or would have been eligible to participate in federal programs, such as Scholarship for Disadvantaged Students or Pell Grant. You can typically obtain this information at your undergraduate institution. Step 3 begins with creating a MyBHW account and beginning your actual online application at the start page. If you do not already have an account, you can create one by simply going to the website and clicking the Create an Account for an NHSC Students to Service Loan Repayment Program link. There are several programs listed on the main page, so just make sure you select the NHSC S2S Loan Repayment Program. If you already have an account, simply log in with the email you used to establish your account and enter your password. Before you start the application, you will have another opportunity to read the application and program guidance. If you have already read it, then you're ready to begin and can select Start My Application. Once you start your application, you will see at the top of the page the list of 8 sections on the left-hand side. You will progress through these sections until your application is complete. Progression through the application is linear, so you must complete section 1 before moving on to section 2. However, if you discover that you made a mistake in the previous section, you may go back to that section and correct it. You also have the ability to save your progress and return later. Once you have submitted your letters of recommendation and loan information and uploaded your supporting documents, you can complete your self-certification. Then you will be ready to review and submit your application. NHSC has created a secure and seamless tool to import federal student loans into your application, including the Federal Student Aid Identification Number, also known as FSA ID. You should visit studentaid.gov to complete the import process electronically. You can also upload them manually if you choose. Private student loans must be entered manually in the application. You will enter the loan information and upload the account statement and disbursement report from your lender for all private loans. The final step in the application process is to review and submit your application. At this stage, you will see a list of all sections you have completed. You can go back and review any of the sections and modify them if necessary. However, please remember that your application will not be submitted for consideration until you click the Submit button at the bottom of the page. Please note here that if you do go back and modify any section in your application, you must be sure to click Submit after modifying. You have until the application deadline on November 6th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time to submit your application. If you submit your application after the deadline, it will not be considered. We also need you to keep your contact information up to date in the MyBHW application portal so that we can always reach you. So, what should you expect after submitting your application? I will now turn the presentation over to my colleague Victoria Lobby to discuss the next steps after you submit your application.
Thank you, Brian. During application review, the NHSC S2S program considers 2 funding priorities. The National Health Service Corps will give priority to applicants who have characteristics that demonstrate a higher likelihood of continuing to practice in a health professional shortage area after the service obligation is completed, and those who come from a disadvantaged background. Our review and selection process will take several months. You are welcome to check your application status by logging into the MyBHW portal. If you are considered for an award, you will receive an email from the NHSC requesting your confirmation of interest. It is critical that you respond to this email by the deadline provided to remain in consideration for the S2S Loan Repayment Award. After the confirmation of interest process is complete, notifications of award will be made. If you are a medical student who has been selected for an award, you will be notified no later than April 15, 2026. Please note that when accepting your award, medical students must submit their NHSC-approved postgraduate training request no later than May 1st, 2026, and begin the program no later than July 1st, 2026. If you are selected but will not begin your postgraduate training program by that date, you will need to decline your award. Now, let's move on to dental students. For dental students accepting the award, you will also receive an award notification no later than April 15, 2026. You are required to confirm that your last day of classes will be no later than June 30th, 2026, and that your graduation is expected prior to July 1st, 2026. You must provide proof that you passed the INBDE and, if applicable, your acceptance to a postgraduate program. If a dental student is selected and unable to verify this information, they will be asked to terminate their contract. So now let's discuss NHSC-approved postgraduate training programs, or PGT. This table contains a list of approved PGT programs for physicians based on specialty and the number of years of training the NHSC will grant approval. Participation and completion of a primary care residency training program is mandatory for all physicians of allopathic and osteopathic medicine. Although dental students are not required to complete a postgraduate training program, we highly encourage you to complete training before beginning your service obligation. Please note that those dental students who commence their service obligation immediately after graduating dental school will not be approved to defer their service commitment to a later date to complete a PGT program. Once you begin working at your NHSC approved site, you cannot request approval to pursue residency training. Nurse practitioners, certified nurse midwives, and physician assistants are also highly encouraged but not required to pursue postgraduate training. For the nurse practitioners, certified nurse midwives, and physician assistants entering postgraduate training in 2025 to 2026, the NHSC may approve a one-year training in a primary care specialty. For those completing postgraduate training in your final year of training, you will begin the process to secure a job at an NHSC site. For some, you may decide to defer your service commitment for an additional year to pursue a chief residency or fellowship program. The NHSC may approve your request to complete a chief residency or fellowship as long as the training is consistent with and meets the needs of the NHSC. Again, this option will be offered on a case-by-case basis. In the final year of their postgraduate training, S2S participants will have two options. Option one is to complete the training program and prepare to start your service commitment at an NHSC approved site. Option two is to submit a notice of intent to the NHSC if you plan to pursue a chief residency or a fellowship to defer your service commitment. These S2S participants must submit this list of required documents each year by the requested deadline. These include a program director's letter, proof of loan repayment in the second and subsequent years, proof of passing level 3 or step 3 exam by the end of the second year, INBDE scores for dental students in year 1. Now let's briefly discuss fulfilling your NHSC service commitment. In return for being awarded the NHSC S2S LRP, participants are required to provide full-time or part-time service within 6 months of graduation or completion of NHSC-approved postgraduate training. This service must be completed while employed at an NHSC-approved site with a health professional shortage area score of 14 or higher. Those eligible participants who sign the Maternal Care Target Area Award enhancement must fulfill their service obligation at an NHSC-approved site with a MICTA score of 16 or higher. NHSC participants must fulfill their service obligation at approved NHSC sites throughout the nation. Approved sites include outpatient facilities that provide primary care, dental, and/or mental and behavioral health services in a HPSA. These approved sites can be located in an urban, rural, or tribal community. Approved sites must be an eligible site type and meet applicable requirements. Facilities that may qualify as eligible site types include the following: federally qualified health centers, rural health clinics, federal Indian Health Service clinics, tribal or urban Indian health clinics, certain Indian and tribal hospitals, solo or group private primary care practices, public health departments, hospital-affiliated outpatient primary care practices, rural emergency hospitals, and critical access hospitals. Additional site types are also listed in the application and program guidance. Once you have found an NHSC site to fulfill your service commitment, you will negotiate and receive a salary and benefits both paid by your site. Once an S2S participant begins working at a site, they will be required to verify their employment every 6 months. You must also document time spent away from the work site for vacation, sick leave, and holidays. Please note that full-time contract status is 40 hours per week and includes direct patient care, administrative duties, teaching hours, and telemedicine. The required direct patient care times vary by discipline, so please consult the application and program guidance for clarification. Let's now discuss a helpful resource offered by the NHSC. When you begin your job search, the Health Workforce Connector will allow you to view job vacancies at thousands of NHSC-approved sites in their surrounding communities across the country. The Health Workforce Connector allows you to narrow your search by fields such as discipline, specialty, HPSA score, site name, and zip code. Each eligible site has a profile on the Health Workforce Connector where you can view site details and opportunities. These sites can also search potential candidate profiles, which we will discuss next. Let us now take a look at some very important reminders. The application deadline is November 6th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If your application is not received by the deadline, it will not be considered. The online application resources are available on the NHSC website at www.nhsc.hrsa.gov. We encourage you to subscribe to our emails by clicking the subscribe button on the NHSC website. If you have questions regarding the application, you can contact the Customer Care Center at the number listed here, Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, except federal holidays. Prior to the application deadline, we will hold 2 online Q&A sessions. They are scheduled from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on both Thursday, October 9th and Thursday, October 30th. This slide contains our support resources, including links to our NHSC website, the My BHW portal, and Health Workforce Connector. We also are providing our NHSC specific social media platform handles on Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. Please follow us. HRSA is on 5 social media platforms. We encourage you to follow along and share our content on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to stay up to date on the latest HRSA news, or our account handle is at hrsa.gov. You can also visit our YouTube page at HRSA2 to learn more. Additionally, we also encourage you to sign up for HRSA's e-news, a bi-weekly email of comprehensive HRSA news, and to sign up for HRSA press releases. You can also visit our website, www.hrsa.gov, for more detailed information about all of our programs. This concludes today's informational presentation. Thank you for joining us for the NHSC Students to Service Loan Repayment Program Informational Webinar. We hope you found this presentation helpful. NHSC staff are standing by to answer your questions. If you have any questions today, please use the Q&A button located at the top of the screen. Click the drop-down option arrow and select to ask a question. You may type your question in the window and click Ask to submit. Please note, not all questions will be answered in the order they are received. There will be no audio for this portion of the webinar. We will be answering as many questions as possible until 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Please join us for our first Q&A session on October 10th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time if you have any additional questions. Thank you and have a nice day.